special on Dwayne Wade and Paul George.
Like the two of them hosting something?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. You mean LeBron's
I'm looking at it now. It's like ESPN.
You mean LeBron's not in on that?
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he is.
Probably in some way. Right? All right, we're going to
Yep.
start. I'm going to start it here. A couple seconds. Going to try and start right at 8 on the dot.
Okay.
This is Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
I can't taste anymore. I can't taste anymore. I blew my nose. I can't taste anymore. All right, I'm ready.
Behind the Mic is live from Kings Cove here inside the Toyota Sports Center, El Segundo, just off of Nash Street, as we always are here on Thursday evenings live at BehindTheMicShow.com. Download the official Behind the Mic app. Check out our podcast on iHeartRadio, and also all of our great live streaming that we've been doing the last couple of weeks. Getting a lot of really good feedback from the Facebook Lives to the YouTube and Periscope as well, so definitely be sure to check us out on social media. Brad Dalius inside, Keith Jackson joining us from on the road tonight down in New Orleans, the Big Easy. We'll bring in Keith in just a second. Busy day of sports as usual as we wrap up another week here Behind the Mic. Lots to get into. A special 1-hour edition of the program tonight. If you're just joining us, welcome in. Great crowd on hand here at Kings Cove, as it usually is. Lots of patrons taking in a little bit of hockey as usual. We got Keith, the annual and regular practice leagues going on to my left and to my right. So it's always a good time here. How are things down in New Orleans, man?
It's hot.
I bet. A lot of humidity,
hot.
Right?
It's hot. Yeah, man. It's hot. It's humid, but the flight was great. I might add. We took a Spirit flight down here, and you would think that Spirit is like the worst, right? It actually was a pretty good, cool flight. Like, the pilot was great on his landing. Probably one of the best pilots I've ever had. And so I got into New Orleans, and it's hot. It's like 94 degrees, and the humidity is like insane. And but the food is always good. I was sitting here talking to you, Brad. I'm sitting here having a garden salad and some Cajun chicken wings.
Oof, that's how you do
it. With a Pepsi. Yeah, so I already got down. And when I walked in, they had this King's Cake, which is known out here in the Big Easy, and it was awesome.
I've been to New Orleans once a couple years ago. I'm way overdue to get back. That's a great town. You talk about great food. You can't go wrong wherever you go. Just walk down Bourbon Street, take your pick, left from right. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of it.
Exactly. Take your pick, man. But, been following some sports and following what's going on, and we're looking forward to today's show to talk about the headline of the day, and so I'm ready to get to it.
And that would be one Shohei Ohtani. Before we get into him, though, the Angels, they lose again today, Keith, to the Boston Red Sox up at Fenway, 4-2. They get swept in the 3-game series. That's the bad news. And the bad news also continued is that this team is now a combined 4-14 against some of the best teams in the AL, that being the Red Sox, Yankees, and Astros specifically. So we know they struggle. We've talked about that here before against some of those top dogs in the American League specifically, and now 0-6 on the season against the Red Sox. Obviously, if these two teams were to match up again some point down the line this season, that would spell trouble for the Halos. But the good news, though, there's always good news with bad news, right? And the good news is that Shohei Ohtani they got the word today. They did an MRI, and basically it said that they're seeing improvement. They're seeing improvement, and he is able to resume hitting and resume being placed back into the lineup right away. They're going to reevaluate him in a couple of weeks to see if he potentially can get back to throwing, a little simulation out of the bullpen just to get that arm going again. They're optimistic. Billy Epler is the general manager for the Angels, that he is definitely going to contribute pitching-wise to this Angels team here again in 2018. He said today, quote, "No doctor has told me that Shohei needs any type of surgical intervention at this time." So the front office is confident, and Angel fans should be confident as well that Shohei is going to be back, and they're going to need him. Like we talked about, Keith, this is a team that they need their stars to be healthy. This is not like the Dodgers where they can kind of get off to a bad start. They can overcome it. Guys can step up. No, not with this team. Not with what we've seen so far this year. They have not been able to prove that if guys do go down, they're going to be able to replace them. So they need the big guns. They need Trout in there healthy as he is now, and they need Ohtani to come back, which he's going to be, thankfully.
Yeah. But you know what? You know, when I look at things, I don't think it's a great move, Brad, to bring him back if he's not able to pitch and do what he does best. You're only bringing back a 50% Ohtani because you're going to use him just for batting purposes, and that's it. And, you know, to me, like, that's just saying that that shoulder is not in the great shape where it is, and you're still using that shoulder when you're batting. You know, so, you know, my thing is, look, you got a franchise player they brought in, and they want this person to be let's be realistic. He's like what? Next to Mike Trout, Ohtani is the bright spot of the season, and he's the bright spot. He's the person that the face of the franchise.
No question.
Wouldn't you want to protect your player? Wouldn't you want to have? I understand.
Well, I think they are. I think they are. I think they're easing him back into it.
Yeah, I think you got to bring him back slowly. You have to reevaluate everything. I wouldn't do it unless it's saying like, look, he can't pitch, but we just don't want to. On our end, we just don't want to pull that deal and have him do that and mess up that shoulder. Then fine, I get that. But to say like, you know, we're optimistic about him actually pitching again, but he will be batting for us. You know, I don't like that kind of move because I think it's more of like you're using your player 50% of the time, and that's saying that you're going to use him. He's still hurt and injured, and that's the purpose. His thing is he's had a ligament tear, you know, in his shoulder, so that's a little different than someone having like a torn ankle. You get what I'm saying, or a sprain?
Yeah, it's different.
You know, so my thing, it's different, and it's something that can lead to worse. It can go worse. So he can be out longer. My whole thing is shut him down and wait till he's completely 100% before you bring him back. Look, they're 41-41. They're 500 ball club right now, right? It doesn't look like they're gonna make a run in July. In July, I don't know. We're hoping they can put up some numbers and wins, but it doesn't look like that way. And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying tank the rest of the season. I'm just saying, I think you should just next man up. Who's going to be that next man to step up? And we need that. And if you got to dig deep into your AAA affiliate ball club team, then do that. But you know, I don't think putting your prize person out there who's still can really only give you 50%, and that's just in the batting area. I don't think that's a smart move.
Here's the thing, though. They're desperate, right? Like I said, they need their stars out there. They're so desperate to get Ohtani specifically back out. Why? To sell those tickets, baby. We know he's a seat filler.
That's true.
We know it. I mean, that's
true.
Look at it this way. You went to an Angels game recently when they played the Diamondbacks, right? Now, you didn't go specifically for Ohtani, per se. I don't think he was pitching that night, who was out that night. But you're intrigued by this team, right? You're intrigued by some of these signings they've made in the offseason and how that's brought a little spark to the team. To me, I just think that they're totally desperate to get some of these guys back and to be healthy because they just don't have that extra gear they can kick into. Again, that next man up mentality, they just don't have it yet. They're a little bit too reliant upon their stars, and that's been a big problem with them. But at least the good news is that he's not done for the year, and there's been so many whispers of Tommy John surgery, some kind of extended injury here for Ohtani. Maybe we don't see him to 2019 at some point. None of that. He's going to be back again this year. To how much he can contribute, that's obviously the million-dollar question. But for fans right now, they're just excited that he's going to be back with this team, and everyone can, with the front office and associated with the team, can kind of breathe a sigh of relief. Now, meanwhile, the Dodgers, they get pounded today, Keith, by the Cubs, 11-5. It was the return of Clayton Kershaw. He didn't pitch bad, but again, kind of similar to the Angels when we talked with Vincent Page earlier this week from Fansided.com saying they need a couple extra arms out of the bullpen. Man, the Dodgers need that as well. They just been getting killed this year with the bullpen. I mean, whether it be Pedro Baez earlier in the season who was demoted down to the minors or anyone else they've tossed out there, it's just been a disaster. And once again, they get pounded today. Just way too much. I mean, you just can't give up 11 runs, 15 hits to one of the top-tier teams in the National League. You're just going to get beat up. There's no way around that. So it's like we kind of talked about sometimes with the Dodgers. When they got certain things clicking, other things tend to fall apart a bit. And that's what you kind of saw today, in a sense, from them.
Yeah.
So they split the 4-game set.
Yeah, they split it. They're 3.5 games back from the Diamondbacks. One thing only thing I'm really concerned with them is that, getting accustomed to losing, and I don't hope that doesn't happen again. Where you remember, this is the thing. It's like a pattern they have. If you look at the beginning of the season, they weren't really clicking, right? They started losing, and then they started picking up and winning some games, and then they would go into this thing. They in the month of, I believe it was with the month of May, they were 14-14, so they were 5. That was like a important month for them, and then they started to pick it up and they really start rolling. And I just hope it doesn't get to that pattern of all right, we win a couple of games, and now we just start dropping off again. Because I think the Dodgers really can't afford to drop off again. I think they really got to sit where they dug themselves out of the hole. They're in second place right now, and I believe that they got to really try to itch closer to Arizona than dropping games. So I really do think look, these next 3 games, next 3 games they have, I believe they're playing the Colorado Rockies.
Yep.
I think this is important. Actually, this is an important series for them. I think they got to win this series to really to catapult themselves, getting closer to the Diamondbacks. I think they got to start playing a little bit more aggressive, coming down toward the second half of the season. So I would think they would want to end this first half of the season strong. They got 3 games against the Colorado Rockies. I'm really hoping they can sweep it, but they got to win 2 out of the 3 for sure.
That's what it's about, right? Series wins. Taking it however you can get it.
Exactly.
And, hey, this team should be open to trying different ways to win, playing a little small ball here and there sometimes. We hear people talk about this, and it really can benefit you when you're trying to establish something, right? Whether it be trying to establish somewhat of a winning streak here with series consecutively. That's how you do it sometimes. Maybe mix it up. Maybe try something that your opponent doesn't suspect to see coming. Think outside the box. I don't know why teams don't do this more often, but whether be playing small ball, just try and sometimes move the runner along with a bunt, something to kind of mix it up, maybe at the top of the lineup or something, just to get something going. Because like you said, no doubt it's a big 3-game set against Colorado this weekend. At home, I may add, so they have a chance really to kind of defend home turf here and get something going. And, yeah, it's a big weekend for them. You can make the case it's a big weekend for the Angels as well. They go on the road and take on the Baltimore Orioles, who we know is one of the worst teams in baseball, so maybe that's a good anecdote for the Halos to get something rolling there. So, no doubt, big weekend for the boys in blue, big weekend for the Angels as well, really to get something rolling. It's Behind the Mic. We're live here from Kings Cove inside the Toyota Sports Center. Brad Dalius, Keith Jackson on the road tonight, calling in from the Big Easy down in New Orleans, getting his thoughts on everything that's going on in LA sports and beyond. I want to talk about, Keith, some NBA news because it's what's on everybody's mind. Lakers fans are really on the edge of their seat at this point if they aren't already. Paul George, he officially opts out today. No real surprise. He basically lets Oklahoma City know that, hey, I'm going to be a free agent. I'm going to try and get, like you pointed out to me off the air, to get the most money I can.
Yeah. Which could be bad news for the Lakers, though. Let me
It could.
tell you why, because it could be bad news for the Lakers in that sense, because the bottom line is you don't want to deplete your team for Paul George. You want to add to your team for Paul George. And it kind of looks that way. You know, Paul George has also come out and said that he'll probably get the most money over in OKC. And it goes back to my saying of what I've said before when he ended the season, was that he said, you know, and I stick with that. He said that he said, I would like to continue to be a Thunder, but we're going to see where the chips fall. And that's kind of saying a lot. That's not a PR move. That's kind of saying that he's still open to OKC. It's not a close and shut deal. And so, you know, when you look at things and what's going on with Paul George right now, this could be bad news for the Lakers for the simple fact that, you know, they would have to, you know, you're talking, he's going to want the most money he can possibly get. And you can probably offer him a max deal. However, there's OKC that can offer him a lot more, and that's true. And then you're talking about a trade. So they can sign him and then trade him. And now your team's getting depleted. So I don't know. I think the Lakers are starting to. You can tell in a way they're trying to talk to the Spurs again about Kawhi Leonard. Well, they're open to that, and then now the Boston Celtics entered the deal again. But you know, I think the Paul George situation with the Lakers is starting. I'll put it like this: it's more, to me now, 60-40. And that's where I look at it right now.
That he's
60-40.
coming.
60-40 that he is he's coming. 60%.
All right, I can get behind that. That's confident.
Yeah.
ESPN put out a poll today, and they had it almost like a lot closer. They basically, I believe the fans voted 52% of fans think that he is going to come to the Lakers, whereas 49% think he's going back to OKC. So it's close. This one's kind of been teetering back and forth the last few days or so. People are starting to I think people are kind of almost like second guessing themselves here, because they think that, you know, he goes to Oklahoma City last year and basically he established something there and he's comfortable. But again, at the end of the day, they've already proven, the Thunder, that team as currently constructed is not good enough to get over the hump. They've tried different pieces with Russell Westbrook. Kevin Durant's been there, as we know. James Harden. They've not been able, with that core group, with Russell Westbrook being the centerpiece, to get things done ultimately. So, again, I just look at that as a plateaued franchise, and why would Paul George want to go back to that where he knows exactly where it's going to go? If he goes to the Lakers, that's a lot more exciting, Keith. It's a lot more adventurous, because I know that if I go here, I could be the first domino to fall, and then LeBron comes next, maybe Kawhi Leonard as well. You know what I mean? I think each one of these guys, whether it be Kawhi, LeBron, or Paul George, can think to themselves right now, you know, if I'm the first one to make the move, maybe that starts, you know, the whole thing with everybody else. So I think they're all kind of thinking that right now.
But I think also what the Lakers can offer is Lakers offer in Hollywood as well.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to remember, some of these guys are not Hollywood. You know, Kawhi Leonard, for one. Kawhi Leonard is just a straight hooper. He just wants to play ball. He likes L.A. because he's born and raised in this area. You know, I believe he was born and raised in San Diego. I think he lived in San Diego. But he wants to be close to home. That's his whole thing. Paul George is from L.A. He's lived in Palmdale, went to Palmdale High School. To me, it would just be an ideal situation for him to be here for the simple fact that his mother's sick. His wife doesn't want to be doesn't want to stay in OKC anymore. She wants to be home, and she's out here in L.A. And then you got his mother, who's not doing well. She's sick, and she lives in L.A. So you would think that Paul George would want to be closer to home. However, I think the whole incentive is with him is like, look, yeah, well, I'll probably get some endorsement deals or some other things like that, but I don't know if he's like all in for that. I think he just wants to just play ball and be a hooper at the end of the day. And I think that another team can, if they're going to offer, he's like, look, I might as well go get the money than anything. My thing is this: it all depends on where his mindset is at what he wants to do. Does he want to win a championship or get close to winning a championship, build a B, or does he want to be a person who just want to make a lot of money and just accept the fact that, hey, OKC's going to be OKC. They're not. They can't get any better than what they are right now. They just can't. They don't have the money or the means or anything in order to do it. Unless you sign away Russell Westbrook or somebody like that, trade away something like that, But there's no way that they're going to get better than what they are. So I think that's where it comes down to is like money, or do you want to see where this wave can go when you go to a bigger market?
Free agency, it can't get going any quicker, Keith. I mean, it starts on Sunday. I mean, really, again, people are really on the edge of their seats, waiting to see what happens first. How about the other team, though, out here in L.A., and DeAndre Jordan, who's currently a member of the Clippers, being pursued by Dallas? Your second favorite team, Keith, at least as far as shipping players there or being an advocate for players who should sign with the Mavericks. DeAndre Jordan, what do you think about this? He's being pursued by Dallas. The second time now.
DJ's from Texas, though. He's from Dallas. And so, remember, they tried to pursue them in 2015. He got verbally committed. And then this whole ordeal happened. I remember being on top of this story because I was at TMZ at the time. DJ got a call from Paul Pierce and Doc Rivers and all those guys flew out to Dallas, and they met with him in his hotel. And it was him. It was I forgot the other player that went too, but it was another. I think it was Chris Paul at the time. And they met with DJ. They locked him in a room. They turned off his phone, and they had a heart-to-heart with him. And at that time, and they persuaded him to come back, come back to LA. But I think what it is DJ's heart was really like he just wants to change, and I think it's like he loves LA. He loves what it is, but I think he's ready for a change. Pretty much the whole team is now gone. The team that he went in with the Clippers, and everyone's gone, and he's the only one left there, except for him and Doc, but he's the only one really left, and he's just ready for a change. So, and I think Mark Cuban's like, hey, this is my opportunity to go get him. I'm going to go jump on this opportunity and bring him home. So, do I think that DJ is gone from the Clippers? I think DJ is going, but I also think this too. I also think the Clippers are trying to make a big move. They only got one really tradable piece that they have, and that's DeAndre. They only got one piece they have that they can make something happen and get a big like a superstar or some players in. So you got to watch what Jerry West is doing. Jerry West could be strategically be a free agent. We're going to resign and trade him, and get, put a little package deal together. And the Clippers are really, what you notice, they're cleaning house, and they're trying to get, they're trying to put another team together that's going to be able to compete in the West.
If you're just joining us behind the mic, yeah, absolutely. I'm with you, Keith. Just joining us behind the mic live here from Kings Cove inside the Toyota Sports Center. Brad Dalius, Keith Jackson joining us on the road tonight. Talking about right now DeAndre Jordan specifically. He's being pursued by Dallas with the Clippers, Stu. You mentioned Jerry West. We talk about him every so often here at Keith and how he's always got something up his sleeve, and it almost seems like all moves that are associated with the team that he's currently associated with are part of like a grander scheme type of a project. I don't think anybody's wavering from that either with this right now, with what the Clippers are maybe trying to do ultimately. I mean, it looks like there's no shot. There's no shot that LeBron James is going to the Clippers at this point. Some people thought that originally. I mean, there's no shot that's happening. But there's some other things that the Clippers could do.
Yeah. They can bring Kawhi Leonard over. That's a possibility. There's a possibility, Paul George. And we got to know there's a couple other free agencies out there. Boogie Cousins is the one. They could be possibly pursuing him.
Yeah, no one's talking about him.
Nobody's talking about Boogie. they could be possibly getting ready for the following year and trying to bring Anthony Davis over. So I think what they're gonna, it's just gonna be interesting to see because, in 2 years, Draymond and Klay Thompson are going to be free agents. Well, Klay Thompson will be. Yeah, I believe Draymond and Klay Thompson will be. And then, I think what they're going to do is make another different run. There's a possibility that they're like, hey, since Dwight Howard's being bought out by Brooklyn, that, we can sign him for cheap and get a nice little get a groove going with this solid five all-star team for nothing. So, it's going to be interesting. It's interesting to see what they do. You got to watch Jerry West, though. Jerry West is a mastermind of picking up players, and I bet you the Clippers will have a good team going into next season.
I tend to agree with that as well. And what's the deal? Are they ever actually going to build them a new stadium at some point, a new arena?
Yes.
Is that actually going to happen?
Yes. It's actually going to happen. I live in the Inglewood area. That is something that is actually happened. They've been battling the Forum. The Great Western Forum has actually been battling back and forth with really been very adamant of them not having the stadium there because they pretty much, what that is they're really only will be maybe 2 blocks away from each other or a good mile away from each other. And then, right now, all the concerts, so most of the award shows, all the big time concerts, they're now at the Great Western Forum. And they know that when that Clippers stadium gets in there, that Clippers are going to be taking half of that stuff will be at the Clippers stadium as well. So half of those concerts have that. So it's pretty much a battle of the money and who's going to get the concerts and all that stuff. So they've been really battling each other and really going to the mayor over there, Mayor James Buck over in Inglewood, and really trying to get him to not do that and not have the stadium over there. But it's going to happen. They've already put out things, and it looks like Clippers will have a stadium over there.
It'll be about time, right? A long time coming for that.
Yeah,
one.
I mean,
it really is.
The Coliseum, they had the Coliseum before, which I think was great. And, I mean, they're building a lot over there. It's just interesting. Like, they got this new soccer field next to the Coliseum now, which is really nice. And I didn't even know they were building that. And they built that up, really fast. It was like in a couple of years, it was up. And I was just like, dang, I didn't know they were building this. And it's a really nice soccer field over there next to where the Coliseum is. And the Coliseum, I don't know if they tore down the Coliseum. They're not tearing it down, but I think they're making it something else. Like, I don't know, like usually churches or stuff is where they rent that place out for that. But that was a great place to play. I actually played when I was in Brad, when I was in like 5th grade. I was like 5th grade, and then we had an elementary school team, and we actually played at the Coliseum.
Oh, yeah?
And it was a great experience, man. I remember playing there. It was our little elementary team. We played against another team, and it was a good game. We played on the floor, and I got an opportunity to meet afterwards. My godfather introduced me to Ron Harper because he was the player there, and Karl Malone because they were playing the Utah Jazz. It was real cool.
You didn't lose your headphones there that night, though, right?
No, I didn't lose my headphones. I lost my headphones at the Bradley
Only
Center,
in Milwaukee.
and I'm still waiting. To find out where my headphones are in the Bradley Center. I'm still pissed off about that. So, all them CDs I had, somebody went in there during the game time and stole in the locker room and stole my CDs. And I don't see how you're able to do that in an arena. There's so much security. How is that possible? So, very upset about that.
Someone's got it. Someone's
Very
got
upset.
it. Probably at this point they put it in like a souvenir case, and it's a part of history
Some great
for them.
CDs, man.
I bet. No
Great
doubt.
CDs.
Behind the mic, we roll along here into 9 o'clock tonight from Kings Cove inside the Toyota Sports Center. El Segundo, Brad Dalius, and Keith Jackson talking a little Angels, Dodgers baseball as well. The latest with the NBA offseason news, Paul George opting out today officially, becoming a free agent, and DeAndre Jordan potentially on the move, maybe to the Mavericks. We shall see. Free agency starts. Like I said, it can't come soon enough. July 1st, coming up here on Sunday. We got the World Cup also going on, Keith. The round of 16 is set. We're going to talk about it coming up after the break. All your favorites: Argentina, Portugal,
Oh yeah,
Mexico. No U.S. I'm still looking for the red, white, and blue. They're not there. We got to wait till
not
next
there.
year with the Women's World Cup in 2019.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's been good soccer, and Keith Jackson is really getting me into it at this point in time, I got to tell you. And I'm stoked.
I told you.
I'm pumped. Now we got the knockout round coming up, round of 16. Games start on Saturday. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll talk about the World Cup in addition to everything else that's going on, sports-related. We'll also give you final thoughts coming up at around 8:50 Pacific time. Behind the mic, live from Kings Cove. Back after this.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis.
Yeah. I'm ready, man. It's gonna be it's a good one. I'm actually looking up something right now on this one.
Is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
You're listening to Behind.
All right.
Back inside Kings Cove, Toyota Sports Center, El Segundo, just off of Nash Street. You can't miss it here. One of the coolest spots in the South Bay. Heck, all of LA, actually. You don't get much better than this. A couple ice rinks on each side of us. It's always like that press box, nice upper-level suite type of feel to it, Keith, right? You can look over, have a little adult beverage, have a little chips, a little nachos, whatever you like. You got it. Kings Cove. Good crowd on hand tonight. Brad Dalius, Keith Jackson joining us on the road tonight. Talking a little baseball, NBA news, now a little World Cup. As the round of 16 is all set, Keith, first game in that round is going to take place Saturday morning, bright and early here LA time. France taking on Argentina. Messi. These guys still got a lot to prove here in this World Cup, I think, because really it seems like he and his team have not always been on the same page in this World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. They haven't been on the same page. There was reports coming out prior to the game that they won the other day, that they were all had dissension because the way the coach was coaching the team and the lineup change he was making, and the players didn't take light to the lineup change that he made. However, it really didn't matter because they won. They ended up blowing the team out, and they ended up playing the thing. Here's the thing. Argentina is a very talented team. They have a very talented group. So people just don't understand why they've been struggling throughout these World Cups in pool play. And, you have Messi, who's has been having a lot of pressure on, for the simple fact that this will probably be his last World Cup. And that they want to see him going out on top, and he just hasn't performed to the level that he is capable of performing. Now they go up against a very tough France team. This is the knockout round, like you said, and that first half of the bracket is loaded. And let me just tell you the teams that are in that first half of the bracket. You have Uruguay, Portugal, France, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Belgium, Japan. I'm going to tell you, whoever comes out of that bracket, I'm going to say is going to win the World Cup. And then on the other half of it's a very, you have Spain and Denmark. They pretty much have a cakewalk, on that half of the bracket. Spain, and that's Spain, Russia, Croatia, Denmark, Sweden, Switzerland, Colombia, and England. England's been playing pretty well. It's very surprising to see them play. What you're going to see this year, Brad, though, you're going to see a new country being crowned. And so that's what you're going to see. But, Argentina,
which is great.
France,
which is great for the sport.
Yeah,
it's great theater.
Yes, it's great theater. Argentina versus France coming up, man, because France has been just because they've been consistent. But I'm going to go go ahead and pick Argentina. I think I'm going to pick Argentina because they are probably out of that whole pool play, they're probably the most talented team out of everyone. And I mean, except for probably Brazil, but they're probably the most talented team in that bracket. And they're the most talented. The problem is them playing together and putting it all together. We haven't seen yet. We saw just a spurt of that the other day, and they blew out their team, their opponent. But this will be a test for them against a very strong France team, and it's going to be a tough game. But I'm gonna say Argentina may squeeze it out.
Now, how about your boy Ronaldo leading Portugal? How far can he take that?
Oh man, that is going to be. Look, Ronaldo's been playing out insane. But he's has to play. He's going to play Suarez from Uruguay, who's also a tough player, and he's also a feature player in the World Cup. He was talking about Uruguay's been playing pretty solid soccer this pool play, but you know, there's a reason why the man they call the GOAT at this moment in time. They call him the real GOAT out of LeBron James and everybody. It's Cristiano Ronaldo, because he's been performing well. He just plays well. He's been playing great soccer throughout the whole entire World Cup, and I cannot see him doing anything less than carry the team like he's been doing and moving on forward, advancing. So I'm picking Portugal to move forward.
It's crazy. So we're going to see two heavyweights then in the Elite Eight, if you will, between Argentina and Portugal. Two Titanics.
Yes, we're definitely going to see two Titanics. Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo. That's what people want to see anyway. That's going to be a good one. But the game to watch is the game on July 2nd. Brazil versus Mexico. That is the heavy hitter game. Let me tell you why. You have both teams that play similar styles. They're both feisty. They're both playing aggressive soccer. And, look, Mexico got shut out the last game, but that doesn't mean, one thing about them is they know how to bounce back. And then you have a good Neymar who's really got himself over the hump. And he is, he's been carrying the team. And you're going to see a very good Brazil team. I told you I picked Brazil to win it. And,
you did. You called that one.
I'm still standing by it. I think this is Neymar's time. And I think the team has been playing very good soccer. So I think it's going to be a great game between Brazil and Mexico. But I just think at the end of the day, Brazil is Brazil, and they'll move it on and they'll advance.
How about Belgium and Japan? No one's talking about this one too much.
No one's really talking about them too much. But Japan plays really solid. They play solid soccer. Belgium, not too much. You haven't heard too much about them. That one could just be a plain toss-up. But I was going to say that at the end of the day, I think I'm going to go ahead and go with Japan going ahead because they have veteran players on that team. I can see them winning that game. So I'm going to pick Japan. I think Japan will go ahead and advance that game there.
So that's the one half of the bracket.
Yes.
Those two regions, no doubt, that's the dominant side, like you talked about, Keith.
That's the dominant side. I'm going to tell you this. It's either Spain on the other side. Look, Spain and Denmark will have a cakewalk. Sweden impressed me with their game by, what they did with Mexico. And Sweden can score. They can score, and they can put up goals very quick. But, I just think Denmark and Spain is just two tough teams. They're very tough. That's going to be whoever wins out of. I'm just picking Spain to beat Russia. I think they're going to beat them.
Okay.
I know Denmark's going to beat Croatia, and I'll just say that whoever wins out that Spain-Denmark game, which will be a very tough game, that's going to be similar to the Mexico-Brazil game, will go on and advance to the championship. And so that would be a very good toss-up game. So I'm gonna say I can see them advancing, both of those teams advancing head-to-head in the quarterfinal.
Now you got England taking on Colombia England's played well, almost under the radar in this World Cup, haven't they?
Yeah, England has. Yes, England has played well. They have been like the Cinderella team. They have been playing well, great soccer. They've been doing phenomenal. And the way they've been winning, man, they just been like they come down that second half. They just really put you away, and they're very methodical how they play. Colombia is a good team, though. Colombia is very aggressive, so you got two different type of styles of play. But what you get from England is they play aggressive soccer, but they never really panic, and so and very methodical what they do. So that's going to be a great game. I'm going ahead and pick England to win in that, and I'm going to in terms of that Sweden-Switzerland. I'm sorry, I know some Switzerland people. I know you guys are. I'm a Switzerland fan, and they're going to be upset. How dare you? I know one person who's probably listening in who's a Switzerland fan will probably end up hitting me up. Will probably never talk to me again. But Sweden's going to go ahead and win that game.
There we go. These are fun. These are fun matchups coming up here. Like I said, it doesn't get much better than the knockout round, single elimination at this point, and the best comes out usually. The best, even I wouldn't be surprised, even in some of these matchups, Keith, where it looks like it's a slam dunk, whether it be Denmark over Croatia potentially, or whether it be, let's say Argentina over France. I really believe that probably you would think that some of these teams who are not expected to win or not expected to do as well are going to play their best and up their game, just like everyone else at this point.
Yeah,
because that's what it happens.
We may see, it happens.
Usually.
We may see something surprisingly happen. We never know. When you go into the knockout rounds, that's when shootouts happen and anything goes. If these teams are in time going into after this overtime, and then you go into a shootout round, you're on the edge for you just never know. You never know. It's always a classic finish. So these are some great matchups that you're seeing. I just know that first half of the bracket is so loaded. Those guys are going to be battling out every night, and that's going to be the advantage. That's going to be what I'm saying. It's going to be an advantage for Spain or Denmark going into a final because they should be able to take care of their teams very easy. However, this other bracket is going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle, and those guys are going to go in. So whoever comes out of that side of the bracket going into the final is going to be beat up. You never know with these red cards and these yellow cards. You never know what can happen. So it's going to, it can take a toll on a player going into the final because these games are going to be coming back and forth quickly.
If you can only watch one game, let's say you're just jam-packed all weekend long, right? If you only can watch one game, what's the game you're recommending for people to tune into?
If they only can watch one game and going into the weekend, you have to watch Brazil-Mexico.
Yeah.
It's a must. If you have to, you got to watch Brazil and Mexico. That's going to be a classic game. That's two teams that are going to be battling from start to finish, and that's a matchup you just want to see. And people always talk about historically Mexico. It has history behind that. So, Brazil is the Mecca. You got Brazil and Mexico, two countries that's really like the Mecca of soccer, bleeding soccer. And here they go matching up, playing against each other. You got to watch that.
It's going to be a lot of fun. By the way, Russia's been a good host here by all accounts, except for the fact they've had a little problem keeping enough alcohol stocked on tap.
Yeah.
Besides that, they've been a really hospitable host by all accounts here, and it looks like everyone has enjoyed playing this World Cup in Russia. Fox has done a great job with the coverage all throughout this World Cup so far. Right outside, I guess it's right outside the Kremlin there. I guess it is in Moscow. Yeah.
Yep.
So they've been a good host site so far, and it's really lived up to the hype with all these different matchups. And man, Keith, you've been seeing it since day one. You've been tuning into it, so you even have a greater appreciation for where it's come and where it's at now coming up in the Sweet 16.
Yes, they've been a great host, except for the beer's sake, and maybe that's a good thing because soccer fans can be a bit crazy, man. they'll shut down the city in a minute.
I saw. Did you see down in where was this? Down in Mexico, I want to say, in the streets of Mexico.
Yeah.
They were.
Oh my God!
Did you see that they were parading around one of the minister or I don't know. He was like an ambassador to South Korea or something like that. They were parading him around, like they're raising him up on their shoulders and stuff like that, and just really having one big party.
They're just happy that they went ahead and won that game for them and to have them advance. That's what it's about, though. It's hilarious that happened, but it's like that was a soap opera within itself. So.
Oh yeah, so much of this has been.
It's all these countries, though, even the ones that don't win, they're still going to be partying. I'm telling you, they party hard. These soccer fans go hard. I was watching her friend, she's from Switzerland, and I was watching her on her Instagram, and just like she had like her Instagram story going, and she lives in Switzerland, and so she was watching the game with a bunch of her friends, and man, just the amount of people there and how loud and how crazy they get, man, I was like, wow, for a soccer game, it's crazy. But hey, man, it's international. Soccer's a huge sport. It's a huge sport. And these countries, man, they go and party, man. They go for their team. It's fortunate USA wasn't in this time, but it's a sight to see.
Behind the Mic live from Kings Cove for another 10 minutes or so here inside the Toyota Sports Center. Final thoughts, Keith, as we wrap up another week here on Behind the Mic. What stood out to you this week?
Man, what stood out to me is the report that went out today, Jameis Winston apologizing and saying and blamed it on the alcohol. And that's the reason why he did what he did. I think that's just no excuse for his comings. What he did, it's just no excuse. I think it makes the franchise look really bad. And for him, as many things that he's been, as much trouble as he's been getting into or he's been into, you would think that everything he's done, like he's learned from that. And it just seems like he hasn't. You're blaming it on the alcohol. You have a family at home, and you're blaming for you're just not just embarrass the franchise, but you also embarrass your family. And what's really difficult? It's really difficult to see that when I watched Hard Knocks and I watched him, I sat here and, I really started to like Jameis Winston. I was like, Jameis Winston's a really likable guy. He's really nice. He's trying to become a leader. You see that happening. But leaders don't do these type of things off the field. They don't, you groped a Uber driver, allegedly groped an Uber driver. And
no, he admitted it. No, he admitted it, Keith.
He
admitted he did it.
Well, admitted he did it and said it was alcohol the reason why. No, don't now all of a sudden blame it that because you were drinking and that's the reason why. There's always an excuse. It's always an excuse with him. And it's just like, man, just own up to it. I did it. I apologize. I apologize to the fans. I apologize to my coaches and my teammates. And then go forward from there. But I just think, like, Buccaneers have to be done with him, and they have to move on from Jameis Winston because I just think he doesn't get it. And if there's just going to be more of these type of antics that's going on, they would never make another step going towards being successful if they continue to go with Jameis at this moment in time because he just doesn't learn.
It's like we talked about last week. This is a guy who's had so many off-the-field incidences, right? And he hasn't even proven on the field yet that he can be a sustainable long-term franchise quarterback for anybody that is right now in the NFL. It's a good one there, Keith. This week for me, July 1st is coming up, obviously, on Sunday. It's a big day. We've been talking about free agency starting for the NBA. We know that. Got a lot of great World Cup soccer games to come as well. But do you know what also July 1st is, Keith? July 1st
what is it?
Is Bobby Bonilla Day. Bobby Bonilla, formerly of the New York Mets, hasn't played for the Mets since the year 2000, I want to say. But the reason why we keep talking about him here in 2018 now and beyond is because when he eventually parted ways with the Mets in the early 2000s. Basically, he was offered a buyout similar to what Dwight Howard has been offered here from the Brooklyn Nets. A little different, though, because Bobby's idea was, well, instead of just taking one lump sum of a buyout, how about we spread it out over time? How about we spread it out and add some annual interest to it? So he actually got the Mets front office at the time to agree to an 8% annual interest rate in which they would start paying him his buyout money 10 years down the road in 2011, which was 7 years ago now. So what happened was, with interest going up over time, he is now basically owed like a grand total of like $30 million here. And that's spread out every year. So Bobby Bonilla Day, every July 1st, the Mets organization writes Bobby a check for just over $1 million. It's the gift,
smart business, man.
Keith, it's the gift that keeps on giving, man. Yeah. Unbelievable how he was able to negotiate this. The Mets were actually stupid enough to agree to it at the time, and they write him a check. They've started it in 2011. It will continue through the year 2035. So he's in his 50s now. I believe he'll be 72 in 2035 when he gets his last check.
For $1 million.
$1 million. It's about $30 million spread out over all those years.
That is awesome. Could you imagine getting a check written for $1 million every year? Like, wow, that's insane.
That's insane, right?
You know, that's insane. That's a great way to, you know, when I look at something like that, it's like every year I'm gonna get $1 million check. I don't care. Hey, I'm $1 million. I got $1 million.
He doesn't have to do anything the rest of the year. He's good. Just July 1st, baby. He gets that check.
July 1st. It's the first of the month. You know, it's just like, that's it. That's a very smart move in many ways, and you know congrats to Bobby Bonilla Day, man. I'm definitely now I'm gonna always think about that every July 1st. I know someone's writing a check for $1 million.
And it's great. Like I said, is the gift that keeps on giving there from the New York Mets in New York. Bobby Bonilla Day coming up on the 1st. Hey, we got the hot dog eating contest also coming up on the 4th of July from Coney Island.
Oh, yeah.
That's always a must-watch for me, Keith, man. I love seeing how many dogs, whether it be Joey Chestnut or Kobayashi throughout the years. Those guys, I don't know how they do it, but it's amazing. And I'm amazed even more so every year I keep watching this event.
Yeah, it is amazing to watch. It really is, and it's like, man, how can they stuff so many hot dogs in their mouth and it goes down their stomach? I mean, I'm full off of really 2 hot dogs. I'm good to go. I'm done. These guys can shove over 100 hot dogs in a matter of like 5 minutes, and it's just like, how do they constantly? It's a technique for that. Obviously, it has to be. But I'll tell you this. Many hot dogs, they probably taste them. I bet you afterwards that when they all set in, oh man, it's like the worst pain ever.
Yeah, you know what goes in must come out there, unfortunately, and I cannot imagine that's a pretty situation there afterwards. But you're right. I mean, it's the hot dog and the bun. That's the amazing thing to me. They down both.
Yes.
Sometimes they want to dunk the bun in like lemonade or water, some kind of a liquid of a drink to soften it up a bit. It's crazy. I don't know how they do it.
No.
And sometimes in like triple-digit heat, and the humidity there on Long Island is unbelievable.
Like it is over here.
Exactly, like it is down in the Big Easy right now. It's gonna be hot too.
Feel like triple-digit.
I know. I'm gonna be in New York for the 4th, and they're projecting like high 90s next week. Man, it's gonna be sizzling.
Yeah, man, it's insane, but it's going to be a great 4th of July this year, man, and all the stuff that's been going on in this world with many things that we brought up early in the show. Let's just hope that this could be a bright spot of a good 4th, and remember what Independence Day is all about for those guys that really fought for us. So fought for this country and things like that, that we really honor them and what they've done for us. So it's going to be a great Fourth, and to be with family and friends, and we just ask everyone to be safe, man.
That's
Enjoy
what it's
themselves.
about. Absolutely. That's what it's about. Whether you're near or far, definitely enjoy the 4th of July coming up next week. I can't believe it. It's just Memorial Day. We're already talking about the 4th. It's always a great time when July rolls around in the summer. Always a lot of fun.
It absolutely is. And I can't wait until they'll see those fireworks this year.
Hey, Keith, thanks for joining us tonight, man, on the road once again. Keith Jackson down in New Orleans. We are off for the next couple of weeks. We'll be back after all the 4th of July festivities are done, back the week of July 16th with brand new shows. And don't forget, coming up on August 6th, the debut of Behind the Mic live on KABC Radio here in Los Angeles. We are beyond pumped for that. So that's coming up. A lot of good things here with Behind the Mic as we really get into the heat of the heart of summer now with July and beyond as well. Training camp starts, Keith, in less than a month now. So football's on the horizon, which is always great news.
Yes, it is. Can't wait. And Hard Knocks, baby. Hard Knocks.
That's right. Who they got? Who's the team this year?
With the Browns.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, the Browns.
Oh, that's going to be fun. Your second favorite NFL team. Oh, man.
Very disappointing in the Browns. Very disappointing in the Browns. I just want to know. I just want to see what was going in their mind in their whole first-round pick. That's what I will hope they air that out.
We're going to find out soon, real soon. Hey, by the way, big congrats to Oregon State for beating Arkansas 5-0 earlier today to win the College World Series. Big congrats to the Oregon State Beavers there. For Keith, I'm Brad. Keep living the dream. Have a great 4th, everybody. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.